Has been consequential and memorable. Today's budget presentation provides an opportunity to enunciate our fiscal vision for the next 1 year, while quantifying our challenges, our triumphs, and developmental achievements in the last 10-11 months. In November 2019, I presented a year 2020 come to this Honorable House in line with the policy thrust of our administration, which was christened the budget of awakening to a greater Lagos. I'm here today to present the 2021 appropriation budget, which we have rightly christened the budget of rekindled hope. The budget has been consequential and memorable. Today's budget presentation provides an opportunity to enunciate our fiscal vision for the next 1 year, while quantifying our challenges, our triumphs, and developmental achievements in the last 10-11 months. In November 2019, I presented a year 2020 come to this Honorable House in line with the policy thrust of our administration, which was christened the budget of awakening to a greater Lagos. I'm here today to present the 2021 appropriation budget, which we have rightly christened the budget of rekindled hope. The budget
Good morning and welcome to today the news on Vanguard Live. My name is Sanwo-Olu and I'm my co-host. And of course we're here to review and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. Of course, here we have the pictures of some celebrities on the front page of Vanguard. Precious, how do you feel you're seeing them?
When I saw the front pages, I was thinking it was a concert. Like, I didn't even bother myself looking at what exactly it was, because everybody will be thinking that what's going on. And we have Davido, Tiwa, Salvage, Banky W, even Pastor Adeyemi is there. So maybe there'll be a church service and then they will not.
I was actually thinking that maybe it's like the Christmas, Christmas concerts. But with Reverend Adeyemi, that you might be thinking that okay, maybe it's a Christmas carol. Just looking at it.
When you find out that it's the hashtag #CLAMPDOWN.
Of course, that's still going on. But of course, let's just quickly review the front pages of the papers. I will be starting with the front page of Vanguard. And here we have #EndSARS CLAMPDOWN. Rev Sam Adeyemi, Davido, Tuface, Kano, 46 others dragged to courts. Police, DSS arresting protesters. Delta panel member cries out. Our police deceived me to arrest my brother. That's coming from Remosele's sister. Police moved my client to Abuja, denied bail, says lawyer. And police deny arresting protesters. You can see that on page 5. Meanwhile, below the story, we have, of course, the photo stories of some notable Nigerian celebrities, the musicians, also activist Yusufu, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, and also football legend Kano. But if you want to know what that is, you can always get a copy of the Vanguard newspaper. But here on page 14, we have Zlum Loud's UAE for convicting Boko Haram sponsors. CAC, that's a Christian, CAC registers NGO enough, saying enough is enough. You can see that on page 8. And still on page 8, we have the 2023 poll, my presidential ambition, not do or die affair, and that's coming from Bakari. On page 7, Buhari approves registration of new APC members. On page 13, #EndSARS, they hit my scrotum severely, detained me for 81 days. That's coming from victim, and that's a very sad one. On page 7, we have 428 agencies won't be able to pay salary end of November, and that's coming from the federal government. Jakande, Tinubu, Fashola others to lose pay as Sanwo-Olu moves to repeal a law. Present 155 trillion naira budget for 2021. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we have hashtag NSAS protest. Private sector lost over 5 trillion naira, and that's coming from NECA. You can see that on page 19. Now, from the front page of Vanguard, we move straight to the Punch newspaper.
And on the Punch newspaper, we have main headline: CBN accuses hashtag NSAS campaigners of terrorism. The writer says Apex Bank alleges transactions in frozen accounts can cause economic security harm. Freezing accounts is illegal. Federal government is behaving like a terrorist, says Aisha Yusufu. And stories above, we have CBN warns bank against diverting agri intervention funds. You can see that on page 30. And on page 19, we have border closure. LCC Peterside condemns exemption for Dangote others. And on page 8, I'm leaving PDP for APC. Umahi tells the Secondus and others. And page 2, Lagos plans to stop Tinubu, other former governors' pension. And NIDCOM plans a list of Nigerians wrongfully jailed abroad. You can see that on page 29. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have a NECO decide APC caretaker panel's tenure. Buni's committee says. You can see that on page 28. And away from the Punch newspaper, we'll move straight to the Nation.
And on the front page of the Nation, we have a Lagos ends pension for ex-governors and deputies. The writer says Sanwo-Olu to send executive bill. Governor proposes a 1.15 trillion naira for 2021. You can see that on page 3. And here also export waiver for Dangote. BUA sparks controversy. British side makes case for small businesses. You can see that on page 5. And on the stories above the nameplates, also directs members to boycott UI convocation. Unilag VC Professor Ogundipe reinstated. And here also we have Inspector General Rep seek more cash for police in budgets. SEC to delist 157 firms from capital markets. You can see that on page 9. And that's all on the front page of the Nation. And from there, we'll move straight to This Day newspaper.
And on This Day newspaper, we have a main headline: showdown looms in APC over tenure of caretaker committee. Buni denies tenure elongation plot. Secures Buhari's backing for fresh membership registration. Sanwo-Olu moves to abolish pension for ex-governors, deputy, and proposes 1.155 trillion naira budget for 2021. Also, we have Zulum 6 multi-stakeholders team to track Boko Haram financiers. You can see that on page 5. And lastly, on the front page of This Day newspaper, CBN unveils a private sector-led agricultural development scheme. UN supports Nigeria's economic sustainability plan with $250 million. That's all we can take on the front page of This Day newspaper.
And also on the front pages of the papers. Well, we're going on a short break now. When we return, we have a guest to be joining us via Zoom. And of course, he will be analyzing some of the stories we talk about. While we're on the break, of course, you can always look for the stories that interest you and put your opinion in the comment section. We'll be back.
Spirited, focused, united in one goal: against injustice, against police brutality, against bad governance. What started out as a protest against police brutality, especially the unit called SARS, unfortunately just degenerated into something I still find it hard to reconcile with in my heart. I remember being there at the protest. I was on stage with some beautiful organizers of that particular day's event. And we were informed that there was a curfew for 3 p.m. I do remember that there was outrage on Twitter because it was short notice. The curfew, I think we got the information at about noon that day. And so we said, look, people came from all over Lagos. It was thousands of people there. The best thing we can do if people can't make it home, we'll sit still, don't do anything, don't move, we'll sit still and we'll sleep over till night. It was at the toll gate. And then And then later on, we got, sorry about that. And then later on, we got, I'm so sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, great. I'm getting some messages in my ear. Okay, so we also got information later that the governor wanted to see me and 6 other people. And I remember saying to them that we have no leader. If the governor wanted to speak to us, he should kindly come to the toll gate and address Nigerians because we've been out for over 11 days. And then the lady that came to give us the information, I do not remember her name at this time, left. She came back some 30 minutes later to inform us that the curfew had been cancelled and moved to 9 p.m. I remember telling the people there this information and people cheered. While this was going on, another member that was standing behind me came up to me and said, someone is taking out the cameras from the toll gate. And I said, do you recognize who? Because we had, we had I think the real heart of Nigerians there. We did not destroy anything except for graffiti. We did not take anything. We did not take anything from the toll gate. We cleaned up after ourselves. So wanted to be sure it wasn't happening. Well, it wasn't a protester that was doing that. And then we found out that it was one of the staff, or, he had the LCC uniform. Those are the people that manage the toll gate. So he took a picture just to keep and, to sort of use as proof that we didn't destroy or take anything. And then we realized that the big billboard that is over the toll gate had been turned off. And so just before 7, it was like to 7, maybe quarter to 7, not too sure on the exact time, but to 7, we heard gunshots coming from behind. At first it was chaotic because we didn't know where the gunshots were coming from. We didn't know what the gunshots were about. And then the lights went off. I think the rest of that is just the most tragic thing. I thought I was going to die. I thought we're all going to die. And it was in that moment that I said, let me go live on Instagram so people see what happened to us. People see where we were killed. I just believed that was what was going to happen. And I remember the military came in first. They stopped shooting at some point. And I walked up to one of them and I asked him why he was shooting at us. And he said he had express orders from above and that I was coming too close to him. And if I came too close, it would be considered an attack on him and he would have to shoot. So I moved back and asked everyone to move back. It didn't take maybe another 10 minutes. The shooting started again. I remember seeing 7 people that had been shot down. And we were telling people on my live spirited, focused, united in one goal against injustice, against police brutality, against bad governance. What started out as a protest against police brutality, especially the unit called SARS, unfortunately just degenerated into something I still find it hard to reconcile with in my heart. I remember being there at the protest. I was on stage with some beautiful organizers of that particular day's event. And we were informed that there was a curfew for 3 p.m. I do remember that there was outrage on Twitter because it was short notice. The curfew, I think we got the information at about noon that day. And so we said, look, people came from all over Lagos. It was thousands of people there. The best thing we can do if people can't make it home, we'll sit still, don't do anything, don't move. We'll sit still and we'll sleep over till night. It was at the toll gate. And then later on, we got, sorry about that. And then later on, we got, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, great. I'm getting some messages in my ear. Okay, so we also got information later that the governor wanted to see me and 6 other people. And I remember saying to them that we have no leader. If the governor wanted to speak to us, he should kindly come to the toll gate and address Nigerians because we've been out for over 11 days. And then the lady that came to give us the information, I do not remember her name at this time, left. She came back some 30 minutes later to inform us that the curfew had been cancelled and moved to 9 p.m. I remember telling the people there this information, and people cheered. While this was going on, another member that was standing behind me came up to me and said, someone is taking out the cameras from the toll gate. And I said, do you recognize who? Because we had I think the real heart of Nigerians there. We did not destroy anything except for graffiti. We did not take anything. We did not take anything from the toll gate. We cleaned up after ourselves. So wanted to be sure it wasn't happening. Well, it wasn't a protest.
Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Bushaki and I'm my co-host,
Precious Chukudi.
And of course, this is the analysis segment where we'll be analyzing some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And of course, doing that with us is Mr. Gbero Lajigbe, who's here via Zoom. And of course, we'll be analyzing the stories. Good morning, Mr. Gbero.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
Thank you for joining us. So, of course, despite the outrage trailing the arrest and detention of NSAS protesters across the country, a member of Delta State Judicial Panel of Inquiry is set to investigate allegations of police brutality and extrajudicial killings in the state. Harrison raised the alarm over what he describes as the wanton arrest of persons who participated in this protest. What's your take on this?
Well, I think it's unthinkable that a government that claimed to be on negotiating table with the youth will unleash this on them again. It's contradictory. It defeats the very purpose of resolving issue. It's a policy or a practice that carries the seed of its own destruction. How do you now justify the double talk? Double talk that you are responding to issue raised by NSAS, and at the same time, you are after them, arresting them, with the hope of putting stress and pressure on them. It doesn't speak well of the government in terms of problem solving. The whole essence is for us to get the fact. You claim that what the requests were genuine, and the answers protesters, especially the leading one among them, you now go after them for what again? This is why government is never trusted. So it becomes burdensome in terms of trust that this government desperately needs. Who will trust the government? You cannot begin to appreciate why these young people did not have visible leaders have an issue. Because of this type of getting them targeted for arrest, for repression, for oppression. And I want to say it here that a repressive government is a violent stoker. There's no way you begin to repress people that they will not fight back. How do you know, assuming that there's another protest led by this one, how are you going to assuage them? How are you going to make them to believe you that you are genuine in your promises to them? So this is the challenge that we are talking about in terms of problem solving. That this government has no such capacity, because if you look at the action is self-defeating. It defeats the very purpose of you setting up panel to address the issue. And you find out that these obviously are not the hoodlums that perpetrated the atrocities. It's very clear. It's crystal clear. You shouldn't be insulted by ingenuity of young people. It's all over the world. Their ingenuity is out of this world. Rather, the government should look at how to support the genuine agitation and at the same time begin to mentor those that lead the process in terms of building a successful leadership. This provides opportunity for that. And when there was a crisis like this in America, especially energy crisis under Jimmy Carter, what happened was it brought out a strategy that created Camp David. Camp David, it met with those who are concerned there, and it discussed issues with them so that they could arrive at a solution that will development and growth and peace of men.
Okay, Mr. Gbero, you talked about hoodlums earlier. So an Abuja-based activist, that's Kenechukwu Okeke, filed a complaint on Monday, before a chief magistrate court in Abuja against 50 persons. And out of those 50 persons, of course, we have notable celebrities there, including, of course, a pastor, that's Pastor Sam Adeyemi. And, given his reasons, it says because some of his properties were destroyed. So the promoters of these answers, should be, they should be found.
That's rubbish. I don't know why you people should continue to give names of people, calling them activists. What does that mean?
No.
But we have the local standard in the first time.
But Mr. Gbero, the question I asked
in Abuja judicial environment. Hello?
Okay, Mr. Gbero, my question for you is, we have peaceful protesters now. They are being arrested, and also we are talking about people who promoted them. Peaceful protesters now being sued to court. Now the question is it the hoodlums that should be arrested?
That happened last week.
Yes, is it the hoodlums that should be arrested or the peaceful protesters?
You said what?
Who are we supposed to blame now?
I think if the hoodlum, the agitation has not ended. The arrests continue. And of course, it's just like a Yoruba proverb that says, when the lies has not finished from your head, you should not stop picking them too. So, protest, Nigeria should begin to understand it as part of the package of democracy, part of the package of constitutional rights, right of association, and right to hold on to hold thought. So these are clearly issues of constitution that have confirmed that right on citizens, the right to protest. Those that if somebody feel that they are not addressing NSAS demands genuinely, the right to protest is still there. As long as it's not violent, there's no need to unleash violence on anybody, and there's no need to begin to identify anybody can lead a protest based on what in fact, you can even embark on individual protests. For example, a youth can just be alone and carry placard that this unemployment is too high and government should do something about it. That is his own problem. That is what is bothering him, and he has the right to do that as a citizen under constitutional democracy. For God's sake, we are not in a military rule. I think ethos of democracy should be brought forth by this government so that we begin to make progress as a people and as a nation. And here we are talking of young people. And these young people know that tomorrow actually belongs to them. Tomorrow that you that is repressing them may not even have advantage of seeing. It's their tomorrow. They are fighting for their own future. And they cannot have that future if you don't put some environment, building, structure, process, and procedure in place for them to actualize that future. So they need the ladder. They are asking for the ladder to the future that belongs to them. And the ladder is that they don't want police to be killing them, to be repressing them in a digital age, to be hunting for laptops, to be hunting for their phone as tools of crime. And that is what they are asking for. And they are doing this under the provisions of law. Whether it was done last year, this week, and irrespective of those doing that, they are Nigerians with constitutional right to hold opinion, to hold thought, and to protect and project such thoughts that they are holding based on what they feel their challenges are.
All right, let's talk about you saying that the president or the government basically should create a very enabling environment for the youth. The governor of Lagos State, that's Governor Sanwo-Olu, has presented a 2021 budget proposal of a 1.155 trillion naira. He tagged the budget of rekindled hope. And according to him, he said that the budget will help in delivery of the electoral promises to Lagosians. Now, what are your thoughts about this budget?
Well, I have not seen the detail of the bill, that appropriation bill that Governor Sanwo-Olu presented to the State Assembly. But what I can say generally on it is that I saw a focused man, a man who knew what he was doing, a man who realized that there is dwindling resources to the extent that obnoxious pension paid to ex-governor will be reviewed. So I could see that clearly, that he appreciated in his presentation that the state has a very lean resources and that there is need to mop resources from unnecessary areas. So I can now say generally the directive principle of his budget proposal is okay to me, even though I have not seen the detail to see how he has addressed the issue of youth. But anyone that will make a budget proposal that will address issue of youth must concern about energy, because if there is electricity, most of these youth will get engaged, whether at formal level or at informal level. They will even create job for other youth.
All right,
So because I can vouch for their own ingenuity.
All right. He also mentioned that he has plans to repeal public office holders payment of pension law, that's 2007, which provides for the payment of pension and other entitlements to former governors, deputies, and category of public workers. And according to him, he also made mention that this would reduce the cost of governance in the state. Do you agree with him?
There was no need. That's why I call it obnoxious payment. It is criminal for you now to spend 4 or 8 years. It doesn't matter whether you cook the law that allow you to do that. That was an obnoxious law. How can you justify that? These are people that are collecting pension elsewhere. Most of them retire from private sectors. Those who are not in public sector, they are collecting double salary, double pension, and you are still paying. And they don't have an issue before the obnoxious law. They don't have the qualification. They don't have the qualification to receive such money. And you could see that a lot of property appropriated to them over years. If you spend 8 years as governor or deputy governor, they build a house for you in Lagos and in Abuja. Is that not madness? If you spend 4 years, they build one house for you in Lagos, a mansion, and cars and other perks of office that you are no longer occupying. Is that not madness? Where else do you have that?
Okay, so still talking about this salary issue. So the federal government yesterday said that.
Where else do you get that? You don't get that anywhere. Just for 4 years because you are there and everything. So they just do this for you. expense of public loss, at the expense of at the cost of our, it's like feeding a fat.
Okay, Mr. Guerrero. I think we're having a network break there. Okay, so I was talking about the 428 agencies that won't be paid, won't be paid salary by the end of November. That's coming from the federal government. So the federal government yesterday, they told the Senate that it might be difficult for these for them to pay all these people due to the new minimum wage that actually came up and all that. It seems this new minimum wage now it's causing some disruptions, because I think this is not the first time that we're talking about this, where people are saying they might not be able to pay salary due to the new minimum wage, and it coming in after the budget for 2020. And of course COVID-19 also tampered with the budget and now also affecting salaries now. But the main issue that is that many Nigerians, many civil servants, will they actually be able to understand what is currently going on with this?
Me personally, I'll just say that really the monies that have been put in place for people's salaries to be paid for the rest of this year should have never been tampered with in the first place, because whether you like it or not, these people work for their money.
Yes.
And we know that we're experiencing a complete economic meltdown in a way because of COVID-19, and also with the whole protest that's been happening since. But I don't think that in itself should be enough reasons why people shouldn't be paid their salary, or saying that, because now everybody's talking about 2021 budget coming out, and then that one in itself, it's a problem. It's a problem, because if you're not able to deal with the remaining part of this month, you're not able to pay these people, how then can they now start the new year with
how can you end December?
So it's a lot of issues already on its own. And that's the reason why most people now are even talking. Yesterday something happened, which is the fact that everywhere on social media basically was over there, where you said the government had removed the land border trade restriction for Dangote, Boa, and also a gas supply firm. And people are wondering now what's going on. Does it mean that this government is sort of biased? Is it a government that that it's for some certain kind of people who are well connected and all of that? So all those things too is also what's going on in the minds of people. And I would have really wanted Mr. Bero to talk more on that, but but let's just go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll see if we can try to connect with him.
Okay.
Has been consequential and memorable. Today's budget presentation provides an opportunity to enunciate our fiscal vision for the next 1 year, while quantifying our challenges, our triumphs, and developmental achievements in the last 10-11 months. In November 2019, I presented a year 2020 come to this Honorable House, in line with the policy thrust of our administration, which was christened the budget of awakening to a greater Lagos. I'm here today to present the 2021 appropriation budget, which we have rightly christened the budget of rekindled hope. The budget has been consequential and memorable. Today's budget presentation provides an opportunity to enunciate our fiscal vision for the next 1 year, while quantifying our challenges, our triumphs, and developmental achievements in the last 10-11 months. In November 2019, I presented a year 2020 come to.
All right, welcome back. I would like to ask you, sir, I'm sure you heard about the exemption of Dangote, Boa, and also a gas supply firm from land border trade restriction. What do you think about that?
It amounts to a gated country that decide to give entry to a monopolist. I've said it in a way that we in a republic or a federal republic of Dangote, that you have to make it's unthinkable, it's unacceptable that you have to accept an individual when you claim to have lock up the country in national interest, and you begin now to cherry pick who will carry out export business, and you are doing this at the expense of millions of middle-scale business people who have sub-regional businesses to do in other West African countries. I think it's unacceptable. One, it doesn't portray good governance. Two, it portrays government that is even in business, even in economic policy, nepotistic, and also it portrays government as government of an unfair and unjust government. Because the exemption was not necessary. If you want to open border, you open border. Which one is exempting Dangote? You will now begin to see how Nigeria makes super billionaires at the expense of those who should prosper. And this is a country. Just last week, the global poverty clock said that Nigeria, 112 million Nigerians now live in extreme poverty. This is a country like that. Living in extreme poverty, we are talking of country that is on $1.90. People living on that, and you are having this type of issues. The poorer. That is the explanation I have in the policy, and it's even discriminatory among even the rich. Concession that have been granted to Dangote in Nigeria, it has a tax exception that has been given to him. Do you know the concession of dollar rate has been given a sense for exploiting the nation? The refinery was scheduled to be in operation since 2018. He kept on postponing the day because he got his dollars at cheaper rate than anybody in Nigeria. And the same person now, a border that you close. You told us you close the border to segment access to your country by criminals, and at the same time to protect industries in your country. Most small-scale industries, their clients, their customers are in Ghana, they are in Togo. They have not been doing business for how long? ECOWAS, that is why it's not an economic community of states it should be. ECOWAS should be economic community of people, not of state, because it's the people that do this business, and you have denied them at the expense of an individual. Are we practicing monopsony? Monopsony is when you have an individual, a buyer, and of course, monopoly. You know that in economics, when you have only few people that you just categorize and begin to do business at the expense of majority.
Okay.
In terms of capacity, in terms of resources, you are impoverishing some people, and you are another illegally, illegitimately.
Okay, Mr. Agbero, let's quickly go back to what we were talking about earlier, and that's about the NSAS protest. Now, in terms of the security, we're still talking about insecurity issue in Nigeria. And right now, Harrison, who is also a member of the Delta State Judicial Inquiry Panel, is warning Nigerians and also the protesters that they should not pick calls or if they receive a call that someone's telling them to come and take something somewhere, they should not go, because DSS and police are arresting EndSARS protesters now. Now, what are all these things now going on saying about the security issue of Nigeria? Because of course, it's like the government is in the midst of all these things, and they are, their body language is saying something else. Meanwhile, they are, what they are writing is also different.
That is outright dissension. That is outright dissension into police state. That is outright dissension. We are descending into what you call police state, where you can no longer hold opinion, when their rights don't count, when their liberty could be curtailed, even without the imprimatur of law that provides for that, where people could be assaulted, insulted, arrested, and possibly detained illegally. That is the atmosphere we are in. And even if they don't get you through phone, they get you through another means, it could be happen. But we are saying that it's wrong. It should not happen at all. This is a country of people living under democracy. People should be free to express opinion, hold thought, and of course, as long as it's not violent.
Okay, thank you.
And you come to realize that now, how many of the insurgents have been arrested? How many? Those that are even giving the country problem.
Okay.
How many of them are they arrested?
Thank you very much, Mr. Agbero. I'm sorry to cut you off here, but we are really out of time now. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. And of course, that's Mr. Agbero Olajigbe, Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us, sir.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Okay, and that's all we have for you on Today in the News. You can always like and follow us on our social media platforms that are showing on your screen, or visit our website www.vanguardangel.com to get more of our top stories. Of course, my name is Damilola Ogunshaki, and I'm with my co-host.
Precious Chukudi. Thank you for watching.
Have a lovely day.
Let me reiterate that those who are responsible for the death of Aisha Yusufu, Ganiyu Moshood Alabi, and Tiwa will be brought to book. We all want a society where the rights of the people are important. And so also we will look into the issue of the policemen that were totally murdered and roasted. I'd like to also use this opportunity to address a recent press publication which erroneously stated that Southwest governors have voted in favor of a clampdown on social media. Let me categorically state that as far as I know, there has been no such communique from Southwest governors that I am a part of. Yes, I was in Lagos on Sunday. We did hold a meeting, but our agreement at that meeting was that we already have an existing cybercrime act. That is a cybercrime prohibition, prevention Act of 2015. So there's no need for any further publicity in terms of a specific social media bill. So should anyone choose to sponsor such, I should categorically be counted out.